feel if it wasn't for that, I might have gone down the wrong road. Everything because school wasn't a priority.
I was always wrong road adjacent. You know, I you know, tip my toe in to see what the what the direction was and stuff like that. Then I go here, but I always walk that parallel line of negativity and then just not wanting to disappoint people. But like, what made you stay in school?
One, like your parents, I had to go to school. There was no ands if or buts about it. Dropping out was never an option. It was never an option. It never even crossed my mind to do that. You know what I'm saying? It was just something that, in all honesty, probably to get away from my environment, at sometimes that was a safe place for me to be. Sometimes, even though it was horrific at times, you know what I'm saying? It's like, what do I want to deal with more? You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. Plus, a lot of times, like some of the teachers I did like. I'll never forget my second grade crush. That's the reason why I went, because just to see her every day. But we all had that. But it wasn't an option. It wasn't an option. I had to go. As far as parental involvement and stuff like that, I wish my mother was more involved, because a few times that she was, and this is what I want your parents to understand. I'm not saying that if you are a single parent that you don't have the time or anything like that, but you can get involved in some sort of way, because I'm going to use my own experience. My mother was a single mother. She had to work hard. So, of course, she couldn't make all the PTA meetings or things like that. But the ones that she did, my goal was not to displease her. Even when the teacher, even when I knew I acted up in class, I wasn't doing the work. Whenever my mother, the few times that she did go to the parent-teachers conference and stuff like that, coming out that conference, if my teachers were still alive and bringing that, they'd be like, Barry did a little bit of a turnaround. Now, I still slid off the rail at times, yeah. But the motivating factor was I did not want to displease my mother.
Yeah, and showing up, to me, you know, I want to preface this because, like you said, not everybody has the time or the ability to take off. You know, some parents are working jobs where they don't get paid for sick or personal time, right? But listen, I am 45 years old. I always say it's never too late to dream. It's never too late to follow your dreams. But at some point, as a parent, you have to set aside whatever your idea of life is for the benefit of your children. That's the sacrifice you have to make as a parent. That's one of the biggest sacrifices, because a lot of parents think the sacrifices they're making is... I had them. I'm not able to do... Some parents, I'm not saying all, but some parents feel the sacrifices that they have to make. I can't do what I want to do anymore. Yeah. No, and it's not about that at times. Like I said, sometimes it's like, even if you just show a little interest in your kid, in their education, things like that, you don't know how far that will carry them. And listen, and with that being said, it carries the teachers, okay, who take your kids into their arms, protect them, guide them, and try to mold them. I got a funny story behind that, because it's like, even my son, when he going through high school, every year, my wife and me always made an appointment with the counselor at the beginning of the year, made the parent-teachers conference, and always had an appointment with the counselor at the end of the school year to make sure my son was still on track. The other day, a couple weeks ago, you know me, Brian, every weekend when my son's playing football, I put something up on Facebook. And I like to see his counselors, one of the people that always respond. And I remember, because it goes to the point that you said, that the counselors and the teachers embrace your child too. They embrace your child, but that embracement also comes to when they're seeing, correct me if I'm wrong, when they see the parental involvement. Oh yeah, because the more you engage with the teachers and the school, the more you build that relationship. So and I know it sounds weird, because you would assume just because it's our job, we don't want to let the parents down, and we don't want to let the students down, which it is. But there are times where I have students that will poke and prod until you, at some point, you're like, yo. Like, if I'm gonna have to meet your parents, because you can't be getting this from just being able to do what you want to do, right? And it kind of makes you become a us versus them thing, because it's like, all right, you see your child's got an F in 5 classes, you see your child's not showing up, or they're late to school, or they're getting tardies and class cuts and detentions. Now they're getting suspended. You see all that, and you still don't have the care in the world to come in. And I don't know what issues happen at home. I cannot be a fortune teller and see what's going on at home. Because I know sometimes, like, you got 3 or 4 kids, and the oldest has to take care of the younger kids so that mom or dad can go to the second job so that they can provide. Listen, I'm not talking about that. But at some point in everybody's life, we have to decide, is that 8-hour shift going to make or break us from developing a relationship with our schools, in order for the schools to take that little bit of a more route of understanding? Because I can't understand. There might be a language barrier.
Yeah.
If I don't know that, right? If I only know the kid and I don't know the background of the parent, I may just assume the parent don't care.
Yep.
Oh, I parent squared them. It's like a messaging service in our district, right? I called 3 times, didn't get a number. Numbers cut off, whatever, right? Think about all the first time things that go through your head when you're just developing an understanding and you look at a person the first time they walk in the door, all the judgments you make. Human nature is to judge first, right? So if I'm not hearing back from parents, if I'm not hearing, if I'm not getting my emails or my messages back, if I'm calling home and the number's off and this and that, my assumption may be more
towards the negative
than anything, and it could just be that you moved.
Yeah.
And the number's not on yet. Or it could be that you have a cell phone now while I have a house phone. Like, all these things. Or you just didn't get around to filling out the new form because, you just had a baby.
Yeah.
And the first couple months is more important to take care of your child than it is to get to the school and go, hey, listen, I changed my number. Right? Or you had a bad relationship breakup and you had to change your number because
there's domestic issues going on.
Like, we don't know any of that. And it's not our business to have to file, like, for you to have to explain everything. But the idea is if your child is struggling,
to give us some insight to what's going on.
Yeah, because we could help. Like, we want to help. Like, I don't want any of my students to fail. But I would, before I start yelling at the kids, I want to meet their parents. Because sometimes it's just as simple as the parent assumes I instilled in my kid behaviors that are appropriate. But when you come to school, you may not have the consequences and discipline because everybody else is doing it. So, because kids are, I tell people this all the time, including parents. Look, kids want to please you, but before they want to please you, they want to please their peers.
Yeah.
They want to be accepted by their peers. So a lot of kids do dumb shit outside of the house because
for that acceptance,
they're trying to get acceptance from the peers. And if a parent doesn't know, then they're assuming the kid's right. So part of the parental engagement in the school is to make us accountable for re-engaging and communicating with you outside the school. So, for example, if I email and call 12 times in the first term because a kid is struggling, or I'm giving out praise and I'm sending out messages that, listen, keep on doing up good work, kid's great, because I like to do that more than sending negative emails, and I don't hear back from you every single time.
Not even every single, at least once.
Yeah, but no. But if out of 12 times you don't respond once, what am I to assume?
And another thing too, and I know
with 120 other kids that I got to also take care of.
Exactly. And another thing too, and parents, stop leaving the responsibility of your kids' teachers, mentors, or whatever, that they're responsible for raising your kids. Nah. And a lot of times that falls on me. Give a classic example. Last year at the club, kid wasn't doing too well in the schoolwork and everything, wasn't doing his homework and everything like that. Know who the parent blamed? The club. Why y'all not? It's not our job to follow up all the time with your kids as far as their schoolwork is concerned. My job is to follow up with my kid, and that's what I do. You know what I'm saying? I could be there, be a support system to you and your family and everything like that, but it's not my primary responsibility to educate your kid or to teach your kid or the bottom line to raise your kid.
I'm going to explain something to you guys right now, and this is coming from just a professional teacher who happens to be a parent. If you want me to raise your child and teach them, something's going to give. And what I mean by that is not teach them to be a better human. I can do that. But if you want me to teach the skills in my content area and teach them and get through it so that they can benefit as they move over, I'm a social studies teacher. Part of the skills we learn benefits them later on in life. You're going to buy a car? You're going to buy a car, right? Okay. You want to research, right? Well, guess what class teaches you those research skills? Right? You want to vote for somebody? Guess what? Guess who's going to teach you how to make sure that
you have an informed decision?
Yeah, make an informed decision. oh, you want to research what college you go to, where you want to get married? Do you want to research where you want to live, what schools are best? Oh, well, guess what? We give you those skills necessary. If I have to teach those skills, which are very important life skills, I don't have the time to teach your child how to sit in a seat in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. That needs to have been done at home. And another thing, and this is just me telling you this over the course of my 22 years of experience, 15 years in the psych and detention facility, okay, and 7 years teaching. Just because you got ADHD don't mean you can't sit your ass down. Just because you have anxiety doesn't mean you can't come to school. I know it could be crippling and debilitating, but we got to stop filling these kids' heads up with it's okay because you're stressed out and you're anxious to miss school. It's okay because you have ADHD to act a fool. It is not okay. You know why? Because when you turn 18, nobody gives a shit about that. I've had that same experience because I have ADHD.
And we're going to talk about, basically, we may touch on that in the next podcast.
And I'm telling you right now, I got ADHD. I can sit down. I can't pay attention half the time, but you know why I can't pay attention? Because I'm not into that subject. I'm not. I could sit 24 hours straight. I could coach and play basketball. 24 hours straight, I can coach and play basketball, right? And I'll remember every play that happened. Focus. But if you sit me down in front of a book like Great Expectations, I'm going to read the first chapter and be like, this is garbage. And then I won't do it. Not because I hate reading. I'm just disinterested in it. And I had to teach myself, along with everybody else around me, that you got to stop making excuses. You got to follow through. And so the thing that I don't understand in today's age is there's so many supports and so much information and so much help out there. And yet we have so much more needs. And so the idea that parental engagement can help your teachers in your school understand your student, your kid. They can help them understand how to teach their kid better. It can help us build a relationship so when the teacher needs to talk to you about something serious, you know that I have your child's best interest in you, so you're going to listen to me. Versus if this is the first time we're talking and I tell you how bad your child's been, and it's the end of the term, and it's been 2 months of school, then at that point, the parent should be able to look at the teacher and go, have you been doing your job?
Yeah.
And that's where that engagement has to come from, because sometimes you have to go the extra mile for your child. And I'm telling you as a teacher, it is hard sometimes to balance how to respond and how to connect with 120 different parents on top of dealing with whatever you got to deal with. And listen, teaching is my profession. My first job is raising my family and being there for them. Okay, that's my first job. If I don't take care of my first job, I cannot teach your children that you sent to me and entrusted me if I can't do it right with my own kids.
Exactly.
And so the idea that parental engagement really makes your child a better whole child doesn't mean they're an A student.
Doesn't mean perfect child.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean a perfect child.
It doesn't mean an A student. It doesn't mean they're going to get $150,000 a year to start when they graduate. What it means is that your child will have a connection, you will have a connection, and the more engaged you are with the school and your child's education, the more your child does not want to disappoint you because you're on top of it.
Exactly. That was my whole point when I was saying the few times my mother showed up, and even talking with my son over the years, he's told me, he said, one of the things I never wanted to do was just you look at me in disappointment.
Yeah.
And things like that. I always told him, I said, look, it's not about me being, I wouldn't be disappointed. One time I would be disappointed to you when it's come to your schoolwork is if you didn't try, if you didn't go all out. And if you needed help and you didn't seek that help out, then yeah, I may be a little disappointed in you, but we'll get over that part. But the mere fact that he acknowledged the fact, I love the way you and mom was engaged and involved, is one of the reasons today why I had the confidence to even overcome some of the hurdles that I have, or even school is not so intimidating at times, because I know that if I just put forth my best effort, or my parents are going to be there because I know they involved it with me and everything like that, I'm gonna win at it anyway.
I had a conversation with somebody the other day about trying to figure out how to get more parents to be engaged with school. And one of the things that I've been really thinking about is having a monthly meeting where parents can come in and, you have a couple teachers, an administrator, and then a interpreter. And then you talk about all the things that the school needs from the parent, but also all the things that the school can provide the parent. Okay, like free mental health and doctor screenings and immunizations, flu shot, all that stuff, right? Because a lot of times what happens is I notice with